Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, which is entitled The Cosmic Manifestation, and Chapter 7, which is entitled Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. And this morning we're doing text 8. Without further ado, we'll start the class. I apologize for starting a little late. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari, Yashodanandana Prajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Prajanaranjana, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Gopi Janavalabha Girivadadhari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari, Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jamunatira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayom Vishnupad Paramhansa Paribhajagachajagusto Terasata Sisimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Paramhansa Paribhajagachaja Asto Terasata Sisimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Radha Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaur Bhaktavindi Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Swami Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Pamarandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sisi Guru and Gauranga. Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna. Saya Bhutri Srimati Tirtha Swami Tinamini Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhanta Sri Gaura Karma Shakti Bhakti Namini. Narayana Namaskritya Narochevam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Vidirayat Nashtaprayesva bhadresu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhavatu tamasloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 8. Veda sapatny-udita-patribhir rājño bālo sann upagatas tapase vanāni tasmā adād dhruva-gatiṁ gṛṇate prasanno divyāḥ stuvanti munayo upary-adhastāt viddhaḥ sapatny-udita-patribhir rājño bālo sann upagatas tapase vanāni tasmā adād dhruva-gatiṁ gṛṇate prasanno divyāḥ stuvanti munayo upary-adhastāt viddhaḥ sapatny-udita-patribhir rājño bālo sann upagatas tapase vanāni tasmā adād dhruva-gatiṁ gṛṇate prasanno divyāḥ stuvanti munayo upary-adhastāt. Hare Krishna. Please stand if you feel inclined to. Anyone? Meet yourself, chant.
Hare Krishna. viddhaḥ sapatny-udita-patribhir rājño bālo sann upagatas tapase vanāni tasmā adād dhruva-gatiṁ gṛṇate prasanno divyāḥ stuvanti munayo upary-adhastāt.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Anyone else?
viddhaḥ sapatny-udita-patribhir rājño bālo sann upagatas tapase vanāni tasmā adād dhruva-gatiṁ gṛṇate prasanno divyāḥ stuvanti munayo upary-adhastāt. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
viddhaḥ sapatny-udita-patribhir rājño bālo sann upagatas tapase vanāni tasmā adād dhruva-gatiṁ gṛṇate prasanno divyāḥ stuvanti munayo upary-adhastāt. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay. So we'll do word for word. Hare Krishna. Vida pinched by Sapatny, a co-wife. Udita, uttered by. Patribhir, by sharp words. Anti, just before. Rājño, of the king. Bālo, a boy. Happy, although. Sann, being so. Upagatas, took to. Tapase, severe penances. Vanāni, in a great forest. Tasmā, therefore. Adād, gave as a reward. Dhruva-gatiṁ, a path to the Dhruva planet. gṛṇate, on being prayed for. Prasanno, being satisfied. Divyāḥ, denizens of higher planets. Stuvanti, do pray. Munayo, great sages. Yat, thereupon. Upary, up. Adhastāt, down. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Being insulted by sharp words spoken by the co-wife of the king, even in his presence, Prince Dhruva, though only a boy, took to severe penances in the forest. And the Lord, being satisfied by his prayer, awarded him the dhruva planet, which is worshipped by great sages both upward and downward. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When he was only 5 years old, Prince Dhruva, a great devotee and the son of Maharaj Uttanapad, was sitting on the lap of his father. His stepmother did not like the king's patting her stepson, so she dragged him out, saying that she could not claim to sit on the lap of the king because she was not born out of her womb. The little boy felt insulted by this act of his stepmother, nor did his father make any protest, for he was too attached to his second wife. After this incident, Prince Dhruva went to his own mother and complained. His real mother also could not take any step against this insulting behavior, and so she wept. The boy inquired from his mother how he could sit on the royal throne of his father, and the poor queen replied that only the Lord could help him. The boy inquired where the Lord could be seen, and the queen replied that it is said that the Lord is sometimes seen by great sages in the dense forest. The child prince decided to go into the forest to perform severe penances in order to achieve his objective. Prince Dhruva performed a stringent type of penance under the instruction of his spiritual master Sri Narada Muni, who was specifically deputed for this purpose by the personality of Godhead. Prince Dhruva was initiated by Narada into chanting the hymn composed of 18 letters, namely Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and the Lord Vasudeva incarnated himself as Prishnigarbha, the personality of Godhead with 4 hands, and awarded the prince a specific planet above the 7 stars. Prince Dhruva, after achieving success in his undertakings, saw the Lord face to face, and he was satisfied that all his needs were fulfilled. The planet awarded to Prince Dhruva Maharaj is a fixed Vaikuntha planet installed in the material atmosphere by the will of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. This planet, although within the material world, will not be annihilated at the time of devastation, but will remain fixed in its place. And because it is a Vaikuntha planet, never to be annihilated, it is worshipped even by the denizens of the 7 stars situated below the Dhruva planet, as well as by the planets which are even above the Dhruva planet. Maharishi Bhrigu's planet is situated above the Dhruva planet. So the Lord incarnated himself as Prishnigarbha just to satisfy a pure devotee of the Lord. And Prince Dhruva achieved this perfection simply by chanting the hymn mentioned above, after being initiated by another pure devotee, Narada. A serious personality can thus achieve the highest perfection of meeting the Lord and attain his objective simply by being guided by a pure devotee, who automatically approaches by dint of one's serious determination to meet the Lord by all means. The description of Prince Dhruva's activities can be read in detail in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Oma gṛṇate mirandasya gyana gena shalakaya chakshu amilitam jena tasmā Shri Gurave namaha Shri Chaitanya Madhukristam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadhatikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Penshaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatiyadi Chaitayani. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurasite Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Upary ki jai, Shri Gurudev ki jai. So the translation again. Being insulted by sharp words spoken by the co-wife of the king, even in his presence, Prince Dhruva, though only a boy, took to severe penances in the forest. And the Lord, being satisfied by his prayer, awarded him the Dhruva planet, which is worshipped by great sages, both upward and downward. So this is a wonderful story by the Supreme, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead showed favor to his devotee. The way the matters or the situation unfolded was quite interesting. There's so much that we can learn from it, just like we can learn so much from Mahabharata by just simple living of simply the way people were living and relating to each other in a positive way and sometimes in a negative way also. So how did this happen? As it's explained by Srila Prabhupada in the purport in a little more detail. And then he also says you go to 4th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, you get even the full story there. So Dhruva Maharaj was a prince. His father was Maharaj Uttanapad. Maharaj Uttanapad, as it says here in the translation, he had 2 wives. First one, it's called the first wife, Suniti. Second wife, Suruchi. Maharaj Uttanapad favored Suruchi more. He had 2 sons, one by Suruchi, the younger one. That is called Uttanapad. Uttama. The king is called Uttanapad. And Suniti's child is Dhruva. So the king, 2 wives, 1 son each from the wives. So life was going on. He was ruling the kingdom. He was actually quite a pious king and a very competent king also. He loved his 2 sons. And if you've had 2 children before, you know when they're little, they like to sit on their father's lap. One sits on one part, the other sits on the other part. I've already experienced that with my daughters when they were little. Now, so this is what was happening. Uttama sitting on one lap, Dhruva sitting on the other lap. 2 brothers sitting in the lap of the king. And usually when that happens, the king is very, very, very happy because the children are, relating to him like that. And there's, of course, loving sentiments that go with that. But they here it's described with 2 wives. The king favored Suruchi more. He liked Suruchi more. And so Suruchi got to the head. The king likes me better than this other co-wife, Suniti. So he took it to the children. And that is the first lesson that you learn. It doesn't matter how you're feeling about somebody's situation. In this case, there were 2 wives to the king. You certainly don't go bother the children. The children don't know anything about it. So even when adults have situations where they are uncomfortable with each other for whatever the reason is, it's never a good idea to take it out on the children. It's even a bigger offense because the children haven't done anything. So Suruchi was very wrong to go after Dhruva, looking at Dhruva with envy. Maharaj Uttanapad, the father, is patting his son. His son is sitting on the lap. And that scene of Uttanapad showing love to Dhruva infuriated out of envy this wife, Suruchi. And so he goes after Uttanapad, drags Dhruva. He goes after Dhruva, drags Dhruva from his father's lap, took him off, and then tells him, "You're not qualified to sit on your father's lap. If you want to sit on a father's lap, you have to be born from my womb. I have to give birth to you as a child." Now, when that is going to happen, but I'll leave that to your imagination. They are already born, and this is just flat out insults. You want to sit on your father's lap? You have to come from my womb first, which means my child, Uttama, he's qualified to sit on his father's lap because I was the one that gave birth to him. But I didn't give birth to you, therefore you, Dhruva, aren't qualified. And at 5 years old, he could figure it out. There are people even younger than that can figure it out. I've seen when a parent is telling a child, you can do this or you cannot do this, or this is the alternative, you've been a problem and so on. And they speak, and the child is probably 3 years old. He may not be able to speak back so well, but he understands everything. So at 5 years old, he definitely, Dhruva was at the point where he could speak and he could reason and he could understand these things. And he realized that what Suniti had done to him was very bad. So now, the matter could have been solved right there and then by the king, because he's the father, after all, and the husband of these two women. But he didn't say anything either about what Suruchi, the co-wife, had done to Dhruva. He didn't say anything. So sometimes when people get married, they marry more than one wife. Then sometimes, even in families, one person gets favored more than the other. So it reminds me of a situation, even though it's not our religion, in the Muslim religion. The Quran says this, that a man can marry up to 4 wives. Now, this is 2 now, the situation happens. There's 2 wives at a time. A man can marry up to 4 wives, but right after that statement in the Quran, it says, but it is wise to have 1 woman. It follows it right from there. It says, you can go up to 4 if you can handle the situation of dealing with 4 women. But the wisdom behind real marriage is 1 wife. Of course, Dhanapad is a Kshatriya, they can marry more than 1. Arjuna had 4 wives. And when Subhadra was married to Arjuna, and Arjuna brought Subhadra back, Draupadi was not, happy about the situation. So, of course, good idea to have 1 spouse. 1 spouse. So, anyway, a story was going to unfold about this. Krishna is behind the cause of all causes. So the reaction by Dhruva as he goes to his mother Suniti, and he tells Suniti, this is what my other stepmother has done to me. It really, really affected Dhruva's mother, Suniti, very much. But because she knew that the king favored the other wife more than her, she didn't react to the king or anything, didn't go to the king to complain, nothing. He just really got emotional, broke down, and wept before his child. The child says, then the child begins to inquire, what is it going to take for me to be able to not sit on the lap of my father, but to sit on the throne, become the king? Dhruva asked this question. And then his mother Suniti said, I don't know, but it's the Lord that I know. It's the main that is behind everything that happens. So you have to appeal to the Lord. Dhruva asked, naturally, where can I find the Lord? Mother Suniti responds to her child, great sages, it said that great sages go to the forest and this is where they find the Lord. So Dhruva decides, very, very, very angry, decides, I'm leaving home. I'm going to the forest to find the Lord, to ask him for that material favor. Now, at that time, Dhruva had decided that he wanted even a bigger situation, not just to be on the throne of Mahaduttanapad, but have a planet bigger than any planet and more equipped, more opulent than any planet in the material world. That's what I want. So he went for all of it. It's just they said he went for broke. He was upset and says, if I'm going to ask the Lord can do, then the Lord can do anything, then why don't you ask for the biggest thing? Now, materially, it sounds like an interesting thing that a 5-year-old would be asking. But when we think about it, we are also being given the ultimate. There was a man who was quite poor, and this is a different story, and he wanted riches. Fortunately, as his karma unfolded, he got the audience of Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami was a devotee of the Lord, a pure devotee of the Lord, a disciple of Lord Chaitanya. But he also had a touchstone, and the touchstone gives plenty of wealth. And so this particular person went to Sanatana Goswami looking for wealth. He told Sanatana Goswami that he knew, had been told about this touchstone. And so he wanted it. Sanatana Goswami said, sure, you can go get it. You see the pile of dirt here? Yeah, underneath there you'll find it. Sanatana Goswami had not kept the touchstone in a place that's unusual, so that nobody would steal it. That was not the point at all. He had disposed of it. That's why it was in the garbage pile. But he said, yeah, if you want that, go take the touchstone. The man takes it back to his residence with him. He touches every metal, iron especially. The touchstone can change it to gold. And you know gold is the standard for wealth. So he got a lot of wealth from that. But then he began to think, Sanatana Goswami threw this touchstone in the garbage. Therefore, he doesn't think so much of this touchstone. It's making me money, it's making me wealth. But if Sanatana Goswami, as wise as he is, and he's been a minister before, you all knew, before he became Sanatana Goswami, he was in the government as a minister. So he was already had so much wealth. He had so many gold coins. And he left all of that. That's another story for another time. So the man returns to Sanatana Goswami and said, so, Prabhu, you have thrown this touchstone, even though it's made me so much wealth. It was under the dirt. So I'm thinking you must have something more valuable than this touchstone. Sanatana Goswami said, yes. Then the man naturally asked, can I have it? Yes, under one condition. Since it's higher than the touchstone, you have to get rid of the touchstone. Throw it away. Get rid of it in such a way you'll never be able to recover it. Then you come, then I'll tell you what's more valuable than that. So the man threw the touchstone away and came back all ready for something higher than the touchstone and the wealth the touchstone could give him. He said, now, Sanatana Goswami says, all right, raise your hand, repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He gave the Hare Krishna mantra to this man. So the moral of the story is the highest that we can get, especially in this Kali Yuga, is also the Yuga Dharma, is the chanting of the holy name. So quite frankly, if we're not chanting the holy name, then we have serious wealth that we are willfully abandoning. And that's not good for us. The Hare Krishna mantra is better than touchstone. What is the meaning? Dear Radha, dear Krishna, please engage me in devotional service to you. Radha Krishna are the owners of everything there is. They don't own just one touchstone. They own everything in existence. So if you're going to serve Shri Radha Krishna and get protected and get supported by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then obviously, at least it seems to me that way, that kind of service would give us way better benefit than what a touchstone can do. And think about it. So if you had a touchstone, individually, think about, so in situations you had a touchstone, I had a touchstone, and it can give me so much wealth. So temporarily, while I'm in this body, there will be so much wealth. Then what? As my Guma that's so what? What of it? What for? You know what cuts this whole thing? Death. You may be called a wealthy person, maybe the richest person in the whole world, but only for a short period of time. And that reputation will be gone, and the wealth will be gone when Krishna comes as death and takes everything away. Therefore, the Hare Krishna mantra and service, devotional service to the Lord, is a lasting situation. And it also takes us back to the spiritual world where a touchstone, coming back to touchstone is used as decoration on the walls. They have so much wealth, touchstone, that's its place. The enjoyment in the spiritual world, when devotees are serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the enjoyment that comes with it from the service is greater than any enjoyment that you can get in any of the planets in the material world. Not even Brahmaloka gives that kind of enjoyment from serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead when we go back to the spiritual world. It's that good. The point of it here also is that the man wanted something better. And Dhruva also, when he decided after he heard from Suniti that he wanted something better, something bigger, but he was thinking materially at first. So he goes to the forest. He's 5 years old. So physically, he's a very little guy. And there's so many ferocious animals in this dense forest. But he's very determined. And so he decides to go. And the Lord, seeing what was happening, asked Narada Muni to meet him in the forest. First, Narada Muni asked him to go back home because it's not a situation where it's worth risking your life like this. So Suruchi has told you what he told you, and you've gotten upset. But you can actually forget about this because compared to the danger that now you face in the forest, as little as you are, and being by yourself. So go home. Go home. Dhruva refused. But actually, he spoke very respectfully. He actually responded by saying, this is in the fourth canto of Bhagavatam, to Narada Muni, by telling Narada Muni, I know you are in the Brahman caste. He's looking at it that way. And he was telling him, at 5 years old, he knew. He says, I'm from the Kshatriya caste. And so you're asking me to do something that a Kshatriya would not do. From a Brahmin point, I could understand this. Therefore, if you are to help me, then I am ready to take your help while staying here in this forest. But if you're asking me to go back, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to not agree with you. So Narada Muni realized that Dhruva was very determined, and he wanted a planet bigger than even Brahmaloka. So at that time, the mantra that Narada Muni taught him was Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Dhruva took the mantra and other instructions on how to do his daily activities from the morning to the evening, and also the chant. The mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We still chant that just before we begin to my Bhagavatam class. So Dhruva took the instructions, thanked Narada Muni. Narada Muni left, and then the rest was up to his determination to chant the mantra against all odds. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. One should serve, when one serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead, against all odds. Now, if you look at a 5-year-old boy in a dense forest, against all odds is an understatement. He was in danger from a material standpoint, big time danger. But he took the mantra, and Narada Muni saw his determination. And this is one thing we learn. We have to learn in devotional service. We have to be determined. So, Mam Chayo Abhyabhicharena means unfailing. We have to serve, back to you again, we have to serve unfailing in all circumstances. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're guaranteed to fail. You know how people guarantee themselves failure in devotion service? They give excuses. Excuses means I'm accepting failure. Even in material life, you're giving excuses for something you want to do, but this, well, then you stop. And if you stop, then it doesn't get done. And if it never gets done, then that's failure. Yes, trials would come, but unfailing in all circumstances. If we do devotional service with that kind of mentality, then Krishna says we will come to the Brahma-bhuta platform, the high transcendental platform. Sagunaya samatiteta brahma-bhuyaya kalpate. We achieve that. So that's what Dhruva was planning to do. He stayed in the forest and the Lord protected him from these wild animals. So he never became a meal for any of them. So when we put our effort to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and make that the prime duty of our life and all the material things that we have to do in order for this body to go on as just necessary things, but not important, necessary. We have this body, it becomes necessary. We don't have the body anymore, we don't have to do this material thing. But to save ourselves and get out of this material world, the soul to leave, the soul is the real person, the spiritual activity should become the most important thing to do. And this is what Dhruva did. When he decided he wasn't going to go back, then Narada Muni decided to bless him, and Narada Muni doesn't give anything material to anyone. He will bless you with something spiritual. So he gave the mantra, and because the mantra was spiritual, the Lord, after 5 months, after a while though, Dhruva was seeing the Lord in the heart. But after 5 months, one day, his meditation broke. He couldn't see the Lord anymore. When he opened his eyes, the Lord was standing right in front of him. So the Lord incarnated as Krishnagarbha to see him. There's other leelas involving Krishnagarbha, but again, it will be just too much to bring it to this one also. So the Lord as Krishnagarbha, four-armed Vishnu, beautiful. The Lord is very, very gorgeous. Appeared before Dhruva. Now he had a conversation with Dhruva. Dhruva offered his obeisances. And the Lord already knew what Dhruva wanted. But in the forearms, one of the arms holds the conch shell. So the Lord touched Dhruva's forehead with the conch shell. And everything about the Lord is divine. The conch shell is not material, it's divine. When he touched Dhruva's forehead, Dhruva's consciousness totally changed. He literally purified Dhruva's consciousness with that, just that act. The Lord already knew. He didn't have to ask Dhruva what Dhruva was looking for. Big planet, bigger than any other planets in the universe. Now, Brahmaloka and Lord Brahma, Brahma is the first living being in this universe. He is the topmost supervisor working for the Lord in this universe. His position could not be changed. Dhruva was looking for something bigger than what even Brahma had. But the Lord couldn't provide like that. And the Lord wouldn't give you material things anyway. Spiritual is what's important. So the Lord was very, very impressed with the effort that Dhruva put in. The extent to which we surrender, the Lord rewards accordingly. Dhruva surrendered his body under very trying circumstances, and he took the instructions from his spiritual master. Now, the Muni became Dhruva's spiritual master when he met him. And the mantra that was given and the way to serve the Lord that was explained by Narada Muni, Dhruva did it exactly according to how he was taught. This is very important. When the spiritual master gives his instruction, we have to do it exactly according to what he explains that we should do. This is how the spiritual master becomes satisfied. Yashat Prasad Bhagavat Prasad. By the mercy of Guru, one gets Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada also explains the same mantra by saying, when Guru is satisfied, Krishna is satisfied. So when we're serving, we have to serve to please the spiritual master. He is the one that's been designated to guide us in this material world, representing Krishna, to guide us to go back home. Why? Because we have turned our attention to Krishna. And that is one big, big advantage for us. Just to have faith in Krishna, and there are other religions, but to come to Krishna consciousness is the best thing we can do for ourselves. Now, the question is, how seriously are we going to take it? Maya will not let us take Krishna consciousness lightly, because to come to a pure level means Krishna will give up himself to you, but Krishna owns everything. And if he's willing to give himself to you, then it shouldn't be just a walk in the park to try to get to that situation. Even though in Kali Yuga, by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga, the Hare Krishna mantra, chanting that, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It would give us wonderful, wonderful strides in growth in Krishna consciousness, heading towards purity. It's just a question of how seriously we take it. Krishna consciousness should not be a part-time situation. Nobody should just kind of work it into my day. No, it is the priority. Everything else gets done after the spiritual responsibilities get taken care of. And this is the attitude that one should have. If you're not there, that's something, this is for the mind. To become really Krishna conscious takes only a minute. The mind should be ready to say, from this day on, if I wasn't doing that, I'm going to take spiritual life seriously, especially my japa, my chanting, not only at a specific time, I've set a specific time to do that. And as it said, everybody's schedule is a little different, but still, it's been put out. Morning is actually one of the best times to do it, in the early morning. So if you can, your situation allows that, definitely that should be the choice. Which means if you're not getting up in time to chant and be able to go to work, then you have to get up earlier. That means you have to also sleep earlier than you do normally, so that you get enough rest and still get up in the Brahma Muhurta time, early morning. Chant the rounds and then start your day. So it is all according to the seriousness that we want to put into devotional service. As Dhruva did, this whole situation got him angry. He went to the forest. He wanted the Lord because Suniti, his mother, directed him there. And so he was going to get a big planet from Lord Priestly Garba. But when the Lord purified his mind, what did Dhruva say? I was looking for cut glass, and now I have diamonds. That's the analogy we give. I was looking for something material, but that big planet is like cut glass. Now I found the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I have all the diamonds that I need. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is everything. The lesson we learned from it don't let anything material sway our minds and say, I'm satisfied with this thing. If it's material, no, you're not. And if you say you're satisfied with it, you don't understand what life is about then. Life is about saving the soul. That's got nothing to do with material wealth. And if you happen to be wealthy, then sure, by your karma, serve. serve with the money. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in all the projects that you know of. Give more. You become more detached the more you give, and the more detached you are, the easier it is to detach ourselves from material consciousness at the time we are on our deathbed. And there's only two things, material and spiritual. So as soon as we get our minds away from the material, then we've qualified ourselves for the spiritual. So the Lord as Vishnugarbha came and favored Dhruva with his planet. The Lord's own planet gave it to Dhruva, spiritual planet. And Dhruva wanted a planet in the material world, so he put the planet, the spiritual planet, in the material world. And that's why Srila Prabhupada says, when there is destruction, when Lord Brahma goes to sleep, there is destruction. When Lord Brahma dies, there's even more destruction. But Dhruva-loka is a spiritual planet, so it doesn't get annihilated anyway. Now, fortunately, we can see Dhruva-loka. It's called the pole star. Now, the stars twinkle. Sometimes you see them bright, and then they become a little dim and then bright. But there's Dhruva-loka. It's not difficult to see, even now. It is brighter than all of them, and it never changes the intensity. No twinkle from that. So it is reality. And that is the planet that the Lord as Vishnugarbha gave him. So the conclusion is, marry one spouse, stay with one spouse, treat your spouse very well, because Krishna watches everything that we do. So also serve with a view to impress the Lord by your efforts. As Radha Maharaj actually serve so that, actually, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj is the one that said this, and Radha Maharaj also repeated it. Serve, don't try to see the Lord. Serve the Lord so well that the Lord will want to see you. This is what Dhruva did. He took Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya and all the other things that he had to do so seriously in a situation that was quite dangerous. And so the Lord came to see him and purified him and gave him a planet, a spiritual planet. A spiritual planet is better than Brahmaloka. So he got no planet. The point is, no material planet is better, cannot be anywhere near the spiritual planet. So Dhruva got better than what he even asked for. Why? Because he turned his attention to one, obeying the spiritual master, Narad Muni, and two, doing all things spiritual according to the instructions given to him. So trust always in the Lord. Serve with a view to impress the Lord that he would want to see us. And then he will reward us wonderfully. The extent to which we surrender, he rewards accordingly. Look at Dhruva's reward. He didn't get the biggest planet in the material world. He got better than that. He got a spiritual planet. And that planet is still there in this universe. As we see the pole star, we see it at night. So trust in the Lord, and whatever you think to do, first, take the idea to the Lord. This is how we spiritualize our minds. Apart from the mantra, whatever we want to do, the idea comes, take the idea to the Lord in prayer and ask for approval for it or a change as he likes. Because he's after our welfare. And therefore, whatever we think of, he would know better whether it's good for us or not. So everything that comes to mind, say a quick prayer. I'm thinking this way, my dear Lord. If it is best, let it happen. And if it isn't, sabotage it. Change it. So when you pray like that, then when things happen based on what we're thinking of that worked or didn't work, it's all based on the Lord's plan. And we become the servant just going along with what the program is, just like Dhruva also did. And then life becomes very easy to handle because the Lord controls it. We give our hearts to the Lord in all the services, even material. It's all based on what the Lord wants. And the Lord wants our welfare. So you get the best situation in all times. So we should remember that. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you for coming on this morning. And this is the time, if you want to ask questions, you can unmute yourself and do that. If you want to share some realizations, if you want to take some, stress or emphasize some takeaways that got to you in a very wonderful way, you can do that also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance.
Accept mine. Prabhupada.
Would you mind reading the translation again, please, of the verse?
Okay. Hang on a second. Being insulted by sharp words spoken by the co-wife of the king, even in his presence, Prince Dhruva, though only a boy, took to severe penances in the forest. And the Lord, being satisfied by his prayer, awarded him the Dhruva planet, which is worshipped by great sages, both upward and downward. Hare Krishna. So that is the translation.
That's pretty powerful, because sometimes when we deal with, in material life generally, when we deal with insults, the first thing we do is, fire back. We fire back. And because it's our conditioning, it's our ego. It's pretty much ego, it's our ego, it's our conditioning. Because we just cannot accept someone, telling us off, whether it's right or wrong, and most of the time, actually it doesn't matter, because even if they are, whatever is right, it's our ego that's hurt. If it's wrong, it's like, how dare you? So either way, the ego just gets attacked. But what is so inspiring, how Srila Prabhupada worded or phrased the translation is, he took shelter of the Lord. Yes, of course, he had, Dhruva Maharaj wanted something material, but at the end, he was blessed by the Lord. Is something much, much, much way above material, so spiritual. So I was just really thinking, wow, if we fallen conditioned souls, when we get hurt, insulted, or or corrected, whatever that, whatever it is that is
makes us uncomfortable.
Yes, that is striking our ego. That's the key word. That is striking our ego. We should probably, what's coming is just stop and breathe and really see what's in it for me, and take it to the Lord and ask for the Lord's help, as opposed to, attacking, and, like, as opposed to throwing darts, back at the wall. Because Dhruva Maharaj was like, because he was insulted, he was humiliated, and for a 5-year-old boy, that's very painful. Because kids, when they get insulted, it really carries into their childhood. But this young boy, of course, is all but the Lord's Leela, but there's always a lesson in all of the Lord's Leela, is he was trying to find a higher purpose. And he took it to Krishna. He was looking for Krishna, actually, is what it was. He was looking for the Lord. When we get insulted, humiliated, corrected, chastised, punished, whatever, we don't take it to the Lord. We say, okay, I'm going to fire back, But Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted to find the Lord and ask questions. Why did Suniti, his... Suruchi, thank you. Why did she do this? How did she, he wanted to question. He wanted questions to his, he wanted answers to his questions. So he went searching for the Lord. So I was just thinking, if we can somehow, develop that mood or that understanding or adapt that behavior, when we go through such, situations where our ego is struck, we can go and search the Lord and ask questions, as opposed to firing back. So that's what's coming to my mind, is like, when we go through stuff, go search the Lord, go find Krishna. And have the Lord help us to look within ourselves, Because if you think about it, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because at the end of the pastime, Krishna touched his heart so much that he didn't even want anything material, right?
That's correct.
Exactly. In
That's
fact,
why he said he came. I came looking for cut glass, which is the material thing, but I've got a diamond, which is way better. That's the
exactly.
comparison he made.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because he went to the forest finding answers about why his stepmother did this, why the stepmother did that, and why the stepmother, like how kids go whine, 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 right? But in fact, the Lord turned the whole thing around to benefit him even more.
Mhm.
So I think what I'm getting from this is when our egos are struck by whatever the situation is, there's always a higher purpose for us, as opposed to why did she do this? Why did he say this? Why did she do this? How dare she? How dare he? What is the higher purpose for me to learn from this? Because Dhruva Maharaj got the best.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much. You hit the nail on the head. That's why the conclusion from what you said is devotees should not live a life with a consciousness of tit for tat. Don't do tit for tat. There's always a reason why something happens. There's so many reasons behind the idea of not doing tit for tat. Tit for tat does not solve anything. You just, first of all, from a material level, you just solidify the enmity. That's all you do. He did this to me, I did this back to him. So now you become real enemies. First, he was the enemy, he did it to you, and now you did it back. So now you're the enemy to him. And now you're both enemies. There's a spiritual reason also why you don't do tit for tat. Dhruva left not to do something to his mother. Says, to his stepmother, I want a planet even bigger. So I want even more glorification. Sitting on my father's lap is not going to be good enough for you because you, my stepmother, say that I'm not your son directly. The insult. So as a 5-year-old, he was thinking that I'm a Kshatriya. Kshatriyas rule, therefore I want a planet, but I want a planet that's glorified even more. But because he prayed, because he went to Krishna, he followed his mother's advice and went to the forest, not because of the forest. He said it was the place where you could find the Lord. He went looking for the Lord. And that's the point that was made earlier. When we get offended, do we look for the Lord? That's for us to think about. But actually, there's so many layers to it. I don't know whether I have time to even go through all of them. There's so many layers to being offended on what you should and should not do. You shouldn't offend back. If you offend back, you're wrong. You see, Dhruva never offended Suruchi back, the stepmother. He just left and went to complain to his mother, Suniti. He never said anything against Suruchi directly. So there was no tit for tat. So that's one thing we learned from. And when the mother directed him to seek the Lord, he followed that instruction. And because he sought the Lord, in the end, he got way better than he himself could have even imagined. So this is what is there for us. If we seek the Lord, we will get better than what we could imagine. In Brihad-bhagavatam-gītā, it says something very so the part of it, the volume 2 is 3 volumes. In volume 2, chapter 4, the description of the spiritual world is given a little bit. And believe me, in one sentence, the devotee, Prabhupada who that translated and gave commentary on this, he said very simply, you cannot get the enjoyment that one experiences in the spiritual world anywhere in any of the planets, in any of the universes in the material world. You cannot get that. It's way better, several times better. So if we want enjoyment, the real enjoyment is in the spiritual world. You cannot even get it in the higher planets the way it is in the spiritual world. So the best bet is, see now, Dhruva is in Dhruva-loka. Spiritual planet, the Lord is there. Lord Vishnu is there. So much that he benefited from. Just by taking a mantra, and we have our mantra that takes us to Goloka Vrindavan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The Lord has appeared twice. He's appeared as Lord Chaitanya, and he's also appeared in his holy name. The Lord is absolute, so the holy name of the Lord is also Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Srimad Bhagavatam. Person Bhagavat, Buddha Bhagavat, and then we also have spiritual master to guide us, representative of Krishna. So it's not everything that we need, is provided. Dhruva had his needs for the spiritual master Narada Muni coming, and we also have our needs from Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and all the assembled Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Take advantage of it. Hare Krishna. Any other comments? So the Lord as Krishna Gaba has taught us that look for the higher. If you just chant the mantra, and you should listen, chant, listen to lectures, read, chant, serve, and contribute. You do all of this, you're going back to Godhead. Oh, and one more thing, don't offend. Don't offend. Dhruva did not offend Suruchi back. He did not. He went to his mother. And the best thing happened to him. So, Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sundibhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again. Hare Krishna. Thank you.